The thing that I'm asked the most often as a crochet designer is where I get my ideas from. And today I'm going to walk you through different ways in which I get inspiration for making crochet creatures. The first one is a big one for me. I really like making unusual animals, ones that are perhaps not so popular or not so well known. They might be animals that are endangered in the wild, or it might be an animal that somebody has perhaps never heard of before seeing me crochet it. And some examples are things like my sugar glider pattern, my crochet wallaby, the opossum, and any one of those things might be like, well, I see them in my backyard 7 times a week. Obviously there's variations by region for what animals are familiar to you. Like when I made my raccoon, that was a big, oh, you made a raccoon to people around here, whereas the people of the internet who live where most of you live, which is in America, obviously, raccoons turn a penny, standard stuff, Lucy. And that's fine, but to me, a novelty value or an unusualness appeal is a really big part of my decision-making process. When I go to the zoo with my kids, I always make sure to take photos of animals that I hadn't heard of, that I see, and so I can add them to my list of things that I might make one day. So unusual animals are big for me. I have unusual animals. I'm very into reptiles. I grew up with some more slightly unusual mammals, like things like ferrets. And so yeah, you know, animals and animal science is a really big thing and a big topic to me. So unusual animals is a place that is absolutely top of my ideas list. Next, there's family and friends. When people find out that I crochet, after asking me where I get my ideas from, people really like to give me ideas. And I love it when people give me ideas, and I hate it when they push about the idea. So like friends and family go to me, oh my goodness, wouldn't it be amazing if you could make a rhino? I'd love to see a hippo. You could make a tarantula, a scorpion. I love it. I store that in my brain if I'm out, or I write it down on a piece of paper and I add them to the list if there's something that has even a small amount of appeal. Unfortunately, if someone then goes to me, no, you really should make that thing. Here's the reason why you should make that thing. I think that thing would be much cuter than the things you've made before, because it's like the shutdown in the back of my brain just wipes across the back of my eyes as I internally close them and make a small mental note never ever to make that animal. And it is so silly, because on several occasions, I kid you not, I have totally cut off my own nose to spite my face, but I lose all enthusiasm for it when I feel like I'm being told to do something. And I think that is actually a part of the whole crochet commissions thing that I've made a video about before, where I talked about why I don't crochet commissions anymore. It's a personality defect. I just really don't like being told what to do. Suggestions, yes. Instructions, no. I really hope my children don't take after me. So far, so good. Another thing that sort of gives me inspiration or ideas is simply familiarity. So if I'm crocheting a gift for someone or for their kid, I will think about animals that they've mentioned in the past, or sort of themes. Like when I made my friend Valerie's baby a koala, it was because we'd gone out baby clothes shopping and she kept on saying that things were cute, and half the things that she was saying were cute had koalas on them. So I made a koala for her little daughter, which was really, really cool. And so what people like, you know, if I'm making someone a gift, and a gift is not the same as a commission. If I'm making a gift for a person, then I am inspired by what inspires them. If I was to crochet something that my daughter would love forever, I would make her a horse. She's horse mad, she's got the horse fever. I have made a horse in the past, probably like 2016. I don't love it anymore, and until I can work out a way of doing that with a sort of design that I'm happier with, I'm not going to make a horse. But horse I will immediately start crocheting as soon as I work out how to crochet it in a way that I'm going to be like proud of myself when I make it. So yeah, things that people love, that's that's high up there and where I get my inspiration from. Seasonality often plays a part, even if I wasn't wanting it to. My crochet elf doll, for example, obviously super seasonal to Christmas. When I made a similar doll for my niece, same time of year, I wrapped her up warm. I gave her a scarf and a big sweater. I am definitely influenced by the season. I've been thinking about things to make at the moment, and someone said that the big basket that I made recently had Easter colours, and I started getting all these sort of Easter themed designs in my head. Easter eggs with stuff inside them, and I was thinking that like you can make Easter eggs for an Easter egg hunt, but like crochet the eggs and then you can reuse them every year and your children won't get sick from eating too much chocolate. So you see, things like that. So seasonal, definitely an influence. I had about 11,000 ideas of things that would be cool for Valentine's Day. Do you know how many of them I made? Not a one, just zero, nothing. What's in my yarn stash is an inspiration to me. If I don't have something that my gut is just saying, make this thing next, and I often do, but sometimes I don't, I simply stare at my yarn wall and I get inspired by the colours and textures there. Sometimes I'm inspired by the texture and not the colour, and then I have to go out and buy the same type of yarn in a different colour. But absolutely what is in front of me definitely inspires me. There are a couple of things that I have created because I had this nice yarn and I was like, and what animal is that colour or that shade or those shades? Yeah, my existing yarn stash is a big source of inspiration. Finally, and I don't do this often, but I do it often enough for it to be worth mentioning to you, I start crocheting and I see where it takes me. I pick up a yarn that I like the texture of, and texture is really important to me. There are some yarns that I love the look of and the texture drives me bananas, and I either have to stop working with it or I just will never work with it again. And it's not even to do with it being like rough or smooth. Some textures just make, set my teeth on edge. I don't know why. So starting to work on amigurumi without really knowing what you're making might sound totally bizarre. But hear me out, it's to do with the design process. When I make amigurumi, if I'm very familiar with the animal, I might just look at it in my brain, but more often than not, I will bring up vast quantities of image search images of the animal, and I will study it from all different angles. And then I will, occasionally on paper, but mostly in my head, I will break it down into shapes. And those shapes are not that inconsistent. Most amigurumi toys, when you actually look at it, there are a lot of similarities in the shapes for the head and the body, and particularly things like arms as well, especially if you're doing this sort of more cartoony bear type thing. There's consistencies that run through amigurumi that mean that you can start to make a shape and say, hey, I think I'm making a weasel, and then run with it. And that is something that I've done a couple of times in the past, and I will definitely do again in the future, and it's to do with familiarity of shapes. So I hope that's either useful or interesting for you. It's a funny thing, and I think it's a really personal thing with designing crochet, just like designing anything else. I'm sure you've all got your own methodologies, but if you design toys, where do you get your inspiration from? I'd really love to hear. Is there an avenue of ideas that I'm missing out on? Let me know. Pop a comment below. Let's have a chat. And in the meantime, happy crocheting.